If we look at a subset of smokers who are otherwise unable or unwilling to quit, they're going to continue to smoke that pack of cigarettes. Half of them will die prematurely later in life from that decision. If we could get all of those people to completely switch all of their cigarettes for one of these non-combustible products, that would be good for public health.
Last month, the Food and Drug Administration released a sweeping regulation extending its authority to e-cigarettes and other products that had not previously been regulated by the agency. The FDA describes the regulation as a measure to protect public health, but many observers argue that it will threaten public health by impeding the availability of e-cigarettes, a safer alternative to combustible cigarettes.
My background is as a health psychologist, working both in academia and in industry. Been doing tobacco and smoking research for a little over 40 years, and relevantly have been involved both with pharmaceutical nicotine products as well as now e-cigarettes and other harm reduction products, as well as academic activity. So I want to start with a basic fact, which is that smoking is bad for you. You may have heard of this. But often people don't realize just how bad it is, that in America alone, we kill off almost 500,000 people every year. It's 6 million a year worldwide, and in this century it's going to be 500 million people. And that's a very important background, because it's against this background that we have to consider the potential public health benefits of e-cigarettes. Another more personal way to put these health risks is that a smoker who doesn't quit has a 50-50 chance of dying prematurely due to smoking. So this is a huge risk and a huge public health disaster, really. And if you think about the cause of it, you may remember the Clinton line that it's the economy, stupid. In this case, it's the smoke, stupid. That it's really the smoke, the products of combustion, that are responsible for almost all the adverse health effects of smoking. There are thousands of chemicals and many known carcinogens. And the point is that they're primarily products of combustion. And so it's smoking, not necessarily tobacco, and certainly not nicotine, that is the problem. And in fact, nicotine, by and large, has very modest harms. And back in the 70s, when I was starting out in this field, Michael Russell, a leading researcher in the UK, put it very compellingly, that people smoke for nicotine but die because of the tar and the smoke. And so in a sense, you can think of smoking kind of the way we came to think of injected drug use and HIV, which is that it's not the drug that's the problem, it's the dirty needle. And in this case, it's not the nicotine that's the problem, it's the dirty delivery vehicle of smoking. So what does the science tell us about e-cigarettes? The Royal College of Physicians in the UK recently issued a report in which they make the point that the risk attributable to e-cigarettes is probably very small and way smaller than the risk of smoking. And an earlier report, which they relied on by Public Health England, had put a number to this, which was that they estimated that the risk of e-cigarettes was on the order of 5% that of smoking. So you have this huge risk I've described to you, and presumably a huge reduction in that risk if people could switch from smoking to these products. So what does the American public actually hear about the risk of e-cigarettes? Unfortunately, what they hear is mostly misinformation. E-cigarettes are no safer than smoking. E-cigarettes, I love this one, 1 million times more harmful than air in Hong Kong. And on and on and on. So the public is being misinformed about the risks of e-cigarettes, and not only by the press and by marginal scientists, but we're hearing messages like this come from the Centers for Disease Control, for example. There's another thread of alarm that people are getting, which is about things like, oh, they blow up in your face, They can cause fires. Now, there are actual cases. They're very rare. They reflect very poor manufacturing practices. And again, if you hold it up against the risk of fires due to smoking, this is absolutely tiny. And indeed, one of my favorites at the bottom there was a very recent paper that declared a significant risk for public health based on their report of 2 cases of individuals whose cornea was damaged by an exploding device. Not surprisingly, the public's belief that e-cigarettes are safer has been declining because instead of giving them accurate information, we're simply generating a lot of alarm. Nothing is absolutely safe, or very few things. Certainly, pharmaceutical medications, which are enormously helpful, are not completely safe. Methadone, we give drug addicts methadone not because it's completely safe, but because it's safer in the end than heroin. Bicycling is not safe, even if you wear a helmet, which is a harm reduction device, or driving. So the issue isn't that this should be absolutely safe, but that it's way safer than smoking.
If we look at a subset of smokers who are otherwise unable or unwilling to quit, they're going to continue to smoke that pack of cigarettes. Half of them will die prematurely later in life from that decision. If we could get all of those people to completely switch all of their cigarettes for one of these non-combustible products, that would be good for public health.